Robin Black here for Fight Network. We're here in Port Hope, Ontario, and with James Hargott at what is going to be owned studios, right? Or is owned studios.
Correct. Well, we start with a production office, and then we're going to be filming in the spring. So as we get closer to filming, then we open up into other areas and we start to develop and do the construction, everything for the sets and all that's necessary for principal photography.
So James, Owned Studios is going to focus on films made in the world of MMA, and you're known as an MMA filmmaker, MMA television, probably best known for the film The Striking Truth. What was your involvement with that film?
I was the executive producer and the writer of The Striking Truth, so I spent a couple of years on that project, and then right from there got involved in this project. So I've been involved in MMA projects since about 2006. So.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about what you're going to be shooting here at Owned Studios, but take us on a tour first. Show us around.
Sure. This is the kind of where we start with just the production office for the development at this point in time. Right now we're doing all of our cast signings. We've got a lot of big name MMA guys and some other people that we're signing.
Yeah,
so.
I've heard some of the names, and I think when people hear the size and the scope of some of the fighters that are going to be in this movie, they're going to be pretty blown away. What is this first movie that we're working on? What's this film that Owned Studios is shooting next year?
It's called Owned, and that's not for a lack of creativity, but simply I wanted to name the company after the first film. That's kind of a fun thing. And also, whenever you do a movie, especially one of the size, this is going to be a couple of years of my life, because the expected release date in theaters is October 2013. Wow. So yeah, naming the film Owned, and you know, we're going to be doing most of the filming in the spring, and then of course the editing and all that to get it ready for an October release.
You were mentioning, you know, updating these types of films for a new audience and for a young audience the way that it is. How do you do that and make sure that it's true to the MMA fans, make sure that it's true to the MMA fighters, and make sure that it feels, smells, looks like MMA that kids are used to?
They've grown up by seeing real MMA fights. So if you show them something that's not realistic, they're going to know immediately that you're essentially lying to them. Right. So you know, you have to adapt to the fact that this is a new culture that is a lot more savvy and is used to seeing real fights, and you have to make it more realistic. So
one last thing I want to ask you is, in a perfect world, if everything goes great for Owned the movie and Owned the studio, where do you see this going in the future?
Well, I want to keep making movies, and you know, this is a Canadian movie, and you know, Canadian cinema has had trouble in terms of like getting this demographic. The fact is that a lot of people are still turning towards American movies from Canada, and my goal is to make a movie that is big here, big in the US, big worldwide, which I think a movie of this genre can do, and then continue on and do other future movies. You know, in terms of what those movies will be, you know, I think, you know, I'll always have a love for MMA and incorporate MMA, but you have to imagine, you know, this won't even be released until 2013, so, you know, there's a lot that can happen in the meantime, and different opportunities that can present themselves. So I'll roll with the punches, so to speak, but, you know, my goal is to really do this movie and make it amazing and have the action sequences. I mean, I want to have it kind of like they did with Jean-Claude Van Damme, where people go into the movie and they're used to what was the Bruce Lee, and in this case, used to what, you know, even Warrior, which is a great movie. But I want to set a new standard. I always want to aim for that and have it so that a 19-year-old or 20-year-old will go into this movie and be like, wow, this movie speaks to me in a way that a studio film doesn't speak to me.